Hi, and welcome to Unleashed, a podcast about the people, the projects, and the culture of Big Red Dog. Every episode, we sit down with a team member to discuss what they're doing on a daily basis to chase their passions, help our clients become successful, and make the engineering business cool. I'm Sean Terrio-Smith, your co-host, along with Kelly Dakin. Kelly, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. Excited to record the second episode.
I'm jazzed, man. First one went really well, and I'm excited to get into this one. Let's go. Well, folks, today we've got a special individual with us on this show. Last episode, we talked to the CEO and co-founder of our firm, and we thought we'd head to the opposite end of the organization chart to talk to somebody who is freshly a full-time member with our team. This gentleman, his name is Sam Donnelly. He is a graduate engineer in the Houston office, along with me in the civil commercial team, and he joined our team in the fall of 2017 last year as an intern from the University of Houston. After he graduated, we extended him a full-time offer, and he graciously accepted and has been full-time with our staff since then. And we're excited to have him. And he's definitely a unique performer on our team, and we're happy to sit down and talk to him today and go over some of the things that have made his experience unique here, and some of the things that shaped his life in professional life coming up to this point. So without further ado, Sam, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we're really happy to have you here, and glad that you take a few moments of your time to sit down and talk to us about your experience here and some of your, personal experiences, and some of the things that are, just what makes Sam Sam. So
yeah, no worries at all. I'm glad. Yeah.
Cool. So we kind of wanted to start off, talk about your path towards Big Red Dog. I know, being from UH myself, we actually shared a couple classes toward the end of my tenure there, and we worked together on campus before that. So I know you personally. Obviously, some of the folks that might be listening might not know too much of your backstory. So I think we'll go off with the first obvious question. Your accent kind of betrays the fact that you may not necessarily be from Houston. You might be from West Texas.
Yeah, no, not a native Texan. Yeah, far from it actually. I'm originally from Perth, Western Australia. I've been living in Houston here for the last 10 years. Before that, I was born and raised in the west coast of Australia.
Cool. Yeah. I think in many ways, I'm probably completely off base with this, but I always kind of consider Australia the Texas of the British Commonwealth. It seems you got a Wild West component going on. There's a lot of wild and crazy things perhaps going on in Australia, just like Texas. So
yeah, I find that there's definitely similarities in the cultures, especially in Western Australia. The state that I'm from is. The Western Australia is kind of the Texas of Australia. So it's kind of the Texas of the British Commonwealth, if you want to put it that way,
sure.
As you did, Sean.
I just took that privilege to basically, color the entire country of Australia. But nonetheless,
that's okay.
I know that, we have a pretty thriving expat community here in Houston and in Texas in general. It seems that there appears to be, a pretty strong community of Australians and folks from New Zealand and folks from that side of the world. I know that you participate in a lot around here, including you're a member of a team of the Australian Rules Football League here in Houston. Could you kind of describe for our listeners who may not know what footy is, or what the concept that is? What sort of rules are associated with that? Could you go over that for us?
Yeah, so I'll do my best to explain it. It's a difficult game to explain. It's completely unique to Australia. It's kind of the best I can do is it's a cross between soccer and rugby, and it's played on a Quidditch field. Like it's a large oval field where you kick the ball from person to person to try and score. I've never been able to explain it well. I highly recommend just YouTube it. It's that's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, I think that's what it took for me to understand it too. it's very unique sport. I would otherwise I would have assumed it was rugby if I hadn't watched more than a few seconds.
Most people do, which I don't blame them at all for.
But yeah, it definitely seems a little more rough and tumble than American football, but maybe not quite as much of impact as rugby, perhaps. I don't know.
No, yeah, it's not that brutal because rugby and American football is a lot of like head-to-head contact, whereas Australian football is more you're running with the person, and that's when you make contact. So it's definitely not as hard hitting.
Sure. But
yeah, I really enjoy it. I play for the Houston Lone Stars, which is the Houston team. We play, so there's a national league here in the US. We mostly play against teams like Austin and Dallas, and Baton Rouge is the other close one. And then we have a couple tournaments throughout the year where there's the nationals, which I think there's 33 or 34 teams.
Wow.
Across the US and Canada.
It was pretty pervasive. It was kind of all over the place here.
Yeah, we had our nationals last year was in San Diego. Sorry, there was like over 1,000.
Wow.
Athletes / partners / yeah. And
it's not just strictly Australians, or expats.
No. So a rule for the league is that half your team or more has to be local. So Americans.
So you can't have that unfair advantage of
you can't just bring a team. You can't just bring a team over from Australia and claim it as your own.
Bunch of ringers.
Yeah.
Where do you guys play here in town? Do you have a home field or a home pitch? What is it called?
Yeah, a field. Yeah. A field. So we don't really have a good field here in Houston. We normally train. It's in a dog park, actually.
Nice.
Because the problem with Australian rules football is the field it's almost twice the size in length and width of an American football field, but it's in oval shape. The problem is finding that much flat grassland in Houston's.
It's enormous.
Yeah, so we actually normally play on campus at University of Houston on the intramural fields out there.
Yeah, so I suppose it would be large enough. And it's interesting. I didn't know it was that large. That's got to be exhausting at the end of the game, running 200 plus yards every day, back and forth. For sure. And you mentioned that there was. You were telling me a story that kind of a stroke of serendipity. You'll be playing against your cousin who is also from Perth in this league?
Yeah, so my cousin, who I grew up together with back in Perth, he's been living in Hawaii for the last 5 years. He just moved to Nashville, and this year our regional tournament's actually in Nashville. So he just joined the Nashville team because he knew that I was coming to regionals. So yeah, it was a pretty cool story to tell my grandparents that I'm playing my cousin in Australian rules football in Nashville, Tennessee, on the other side of the world. It's a pretty big contrast to the small country town that they live in on the outskirts of Perth, Western Australia.
Yeah, I can imagine that it must have been a unique experience for them learning about that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned UH a bit. Kind of go through your undergraduate career. The path you took to civil engineering and determining eventually that you wanted to get into land development. What was your thoughts originally getting into American college system?
So yeah, I moved here when I was 15. So I finished high school here. My first year I spent at community college, and that summer I worked offshore on an oil rig to see if I wanted to go straight into the labor market, and I decided that I preferred to go to college. Went to college. I started out in mechanical engineering. After about a year and a half, I realized it wasn't for me. I was dealing with class sizes that were 150 and 200 students a class, and I just was feeling overwhelmed and like I wasn't learning anything. Then I proceeded to look into what career paths I actually wanted to do here in Houston. And I thought that civil was the best match for me. I noticed a huge difference in my student life. Once I joined civil engineering program at University of Houston, I went from 150 students per class to 30, which made a huge difference for the way I learn, which is through asking questions, actually talking to the professor and getting them to explain things on a one-to-one basis instead of just reading off lecture slides in front of an auditorium. So I finished up this last December 2017, after being working as an intern starting in September, and started full-time come January. So
how did you find the internship at Big Red Dog? You obviously you knew Sean.
Yeah, I knew Sean. So actually I found the internship through Sean. Sean actually reached out to me over the summer before. Because the first I had heard about Big Red Dog was when Sean joined the team. So I follow him on all of his social media and read one of the extensive articles that he likes to post on his LinkedIn page. And at that point when he joined, I started looking into it because the company he worked for previously, we had actually interviewed for the same internship with that company, and he got it over me, which I was not surprised at all by.
Perhaps I owed you a favor. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. He reached out to me, and we had some long conversations about it, and I was really, really happy with from what I knew from the company, and then starting in September, I just kept going up and up. Mm-hmm. So
cool. Yeah. So you started at Big Red Dog as an intern, and you had mentioned that you previously had some other internships. So once you landed here at BRD, could you maybe talk about what kind of differences you saw here versus the other places? Yeah.
So some of my internships previously, one of them was at a really large oil field company. They're an oil field manufacturer, National Oilwell Varco, one of the largest companies in that industry. And my internship with them was to sit in my cubicle and scan hand-drawn drawings from the 70s and 60s into PDF, and then make models of those drawings. Just for cataloging purposes. That was my 3 month.
That sounds super fun.
Yeah, that was my super interesting 3 months at that company, which was completely different to my internship here. My internship here, the first day, I think I worked on 2 different projects, and just bouncing around from different projects in different areas. I remember my first 2 weeks here, I worked on a project. One in Houston, one in Dallas, and one in Arizona, and I was just like, oh, never. I thought I was just going to be like, mainly Houston focused based projects. But my internship was really, really interesting.
Did you get kind of thrown right into it, or what kind of things were you doing?
I did. I remember, so all my other internships, like the first day you kind of go into the internship, there's normally like a bunch of HR stuff and maybe a program on like how to do, like set up your computer and stuff like that. And then you just kind of sit there the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. Whereas here I remember, I think I came in and then Marissa gave me do some drainage area maps. I'm like, what's a drainage area map? I'd never done it before. Literally on day one, first hour, I was actually doing some design work, which immediately piqued my interest. And then went in from everything throughout my internship, not only design work, but Sean and Marissa both got me heavily involved in like the permitting processes with the city, scheduling for projects that we haven't even won yet, like going out for proposals and then client-based interactions as well, which was just, I had never even thought I would do those things.
Right. Sounds like a wide range of different types of things that you were working on. Did you learn those things in school, or how did you figure out how to do that?
Yeah, definitely. Like very few things that I learned in my engineering classes actually I apply on a day-to-day basis. Most of the things I either have learned from asking questions to Sean, Marissa, and the other people who I work on a day-to-day basis with. I found that was the most helpful thing. It was literally I would ask any question and someone in the office would help me out, and not only just be like, oh, this is how you do it, but like, this is how you do it. This is why you do it. This is why I do it. Someone else might do it something differently. So I definitely found that that's how I got through my internship. And I still ask Sean probably 10 questions a day on something that I'm working on.
Well, that's the path of an engineer. You're always learning. Something is always evolving in the design sphere. Everything is changing in the regulatory frameworks. There's always going to be something to adapt to. So the mind of an engineer, the benefit and the asset that you have or any other professional in this industry have is the fact that we can deconstruct something and boil it down to its constituent parts and determine how to design something in an optimized fashion that's not only going to achieve the intended purpose, but also save our client money, accomplish something that they're intending to accomplish with their project, and making sure that you can find a solution, because there's always a different solution. It just may not necessarily be the best or the most the most cost effective or the least time intensive kind of solution. So that kind of experience, I think, that you had as an intern is often unique in its industry. Unfortunately, I know of a lot of peers that we have, a lot of folks in our cohort and from school entering into this industry don't have the opportunity to be billable within the first day or even the first week or several weeks even. Many programs and internship programs around this industry, they spend 2 or 3 months just, effectively spinning the wheels. They go through the motions of training. They go through this elaborate project, fake project kind of system where they, get to do a start to finish project that was already done. Perhaps they get to see how it worked. It's more or less a vetting program rather than an on-the-job type of training. So it's good that you had that experience. I know that in internships that I've had previously, necessarily weren't as thorough or robust. It was a lot of just kind of what you described previously, sitting in a cubicle, or in my case, I went out to a survey site and just held the GPS pole for 4 or 5 hours at a time, and didn't really do any engineering work for probably 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm glad that you had that experience. You mentioned previously that you came from a background originally as a mechanical engineering student and transitioned into civil. What were the things in the civil engineering side of things that really piqued your interest? The things that stood out, then and even now as unique to this industry, especially as an engineering discipline, but in general, just as a profession. What are the things that you thought you would be best suited for, or you would have unique experiences that you would enjoy?
Yeah, some of the main reasons I switched to civil from mechanical, and my mechanical side was based mainly in the oil and gas industry as well, not just mechanical. What really interested me was how local civil can be, and how you can actually see the the projects that we create. Like, we've done site visits where we've gone out and been like, oh, that's a detention pond that we designed, and I look at every parking garage differently, a parking lot differently now that I've started working on grading. And that's what really interested me. Was I wanted to do something that was tangible, that's something that I could see on a not necessarily day-to-day basis, because we don't go out there that often, but something that we could see through all the way. So.
Yeah, and you had also touched on one element before where you wanted to get out of the cubicle, you wanted to get out from behind the desk. You mentioned that we even had you working with clients and client communications even in the first week. To me, civil engineering was always the most perhaps political or more the engineering discipline most focused on interpersonal relationships, and that's something that we build our company on, and many of the recruiting standards and hiring standards that we propose are that we have folks that are excellent communicators, folks who are intentional about doing expert work. That excellent communication piece, though, is critical, I think, for this industry. Otherwise, we wouldn't be as successful as we are. We work for clients, we work for developers who have a very passionate, articulated vision for whatever product they're developing, and we get to be a part of that. Is there something, does that resonate with you when you came here originally? Is that something that was kind of unique from previous experiences?
Yeah, definitely. Coming from my previous internships, I hadn't ever talked to clients or been a part of a networking event or anything like that. And even throughout my internship here, before I was even full time, the BRD office here got me involved in that. Like I've had client meetings with you, and I've been to a couple networking events where it's definitely, and I've definitely seen how it's those personal relationships between not only clients but even like people in the permitting center and everything like that. Every aspect where we're dealing with someone outside of our office, it's a personal relationship that you have to develop, and if you do develop it and develop it correctly, then you can move through the process a lot easier.
You have. We mentioned this in a previous episode with Will, that everybody that starts at this firm is told that they're a part of the marketing team. You know, we thrive off of raving fans, generating, success from existing clients that people want to come back. They want to continue working with us. They want to continuously be involved in the work that we're doing. And that's something that, is clearly something that you've done very well so far, and we have many people in the firm that are doing great with, and that's what we chase after. So you're a great example of that, and that's something that I think that this industry, frankly, needs more of. It needs to focus, even more on, rather than restricting business development and networking and all this lateral reach of skills to perhaps vice presidents or business development executives or anybody that's not, above the senior project manager level. So you as an intern getting an opportunity to go out there, talk to people, go to happy hours, go to breakfast, networking luncheons, whatever it might be, and be, a part of the surface area that is Big Red Dog, and contribute to that filter, to contribute to, that interaction and their experience with BRD. So that's pretty cool. I think that's exciting, especially from, a young engineer standpoint. So what were a couple of unique things, starting off, beyond your first week? You mentioned, being billable in that first day and the first week. What were some of the other experiences that you had in the first couple months that really clued you into being, finding that this was a cultural place or a culture that you'd love to be a part of?
Yeah, one of the main things that really piqued my interest in my internship was I think it was either after the first week or maybe 2 weeks. I actually met Will, who was on episode 1, our CEO, and I have never met a CEO from any of my other internships. Like, I didn't even know their names, I don't think, let alone meet them in my first week and have a conversation with him. That really piqued my interest. And then I think it was that day that I met him, they did an open book management report, and I was like, oh, I never looked at a business plan or at any of these things before that, like, they don't teach you in school. Obviously, I never taken a business class. I was focused on engineering, but that really piqued my interest in, like, I actually started to look into the company internally more and see how we're doing and why we're doing these certain things, instead of just sitting there saying, I've got this work to do.
Yeah. You kind of get to peek behind the curtain a bit, understand, the inner workings of the firm, rather than simply just working in the company or working on the company with everybody else. And you get an opportunity to know the highs and lows of what it means to lead this ship, in the direction that we're going. I think for many engineers, the open book management report perhaps may not be as relevant, but for many people, they really, even if they don't understand perhaps all the terms on it, you might have to Google a few terms here and there.
Definitely had to Google a few things the first time I read through it, and yeah.
Yeah, so you get an understanding, but at least it shows a level of trust between you and the leadership to, effectively know that information, have that critical information at your hands, so where the company's going, where your future is in terms of your job and in terms of your clients and your work. And, that's a unique thing, obviously, to this company, for sure.
And I think that theme of openness, you mentioned earlier how as an intern, you would just ask questions when you didn't know how to do something. I think the theme of openness, sharing our revenue numbers and having the open office atmosphere that kind of promotes that communication internally. We were talking earlier about the external communication and how that's important, but I think internally being able to communicate with your team members, it sounds like you figured that out right away. And I think the people that figured that out early on in their careers, those are the people that really go far in this company.
Yeah, I will say that I was pretty timid in asking questions for the first like 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't want to step on anyone's toes, but once I warmed up and actually got to know everyone, I was able to like that. I love our office layout here in Houston is Sean and I sit right in the middle of the office, so I can just swivel my chair around and ask anyone a question. Or Sean, when he's standing at his desk, is looking directly at me, so I can just glance up and
it's either good or bad.
It's a strategic choice.
Yeah. So yeah. I noticed that, yeah.
It sounds kind of different from your other internship where you're just sitting in a cubicle.
Yeah, sitting in a cubicle for 3 months. I could count so many days where I didn't even talk to anyone at my office.
That's not what we're about here.
No, definitely not. Like the Houston office is quiet, but we still get around each other and have a chat and
challenge each other to a game of ping pong or what it may have.
Yeah, I will say that I don't think I played ping pong the first 2 months of my internship. I can't say the same since I started full time.
Sometimes you need a little break. You need to get up from your desk and
exactly when those 3 o'clock slows kind of hit you, you need to get up there and play some ping pong. And wake the mind up.
Well, that's good. I mean, we obviously have a culture of enabling everybody to communicate and enjoy themselves, but we also have a culture of performance, and we hit it hard when we need to. We get a lot of work done. At the same time, we enable people to be relaxed, to have fun in their environment while they're making our clients successful, making our project successful. So it's good that you picked up on that pretty quickly, and that was something that you aligned to pretty fast. Yeah,
that was one of the big things that I really enjoyed about BRD was that when I wanted to set myself up in a career or think about where I wanted to work, is I wanted to work somewhere where I actually enjoyed going to work. Like I'm going to be spending all day, 5 days a week, or whatever it may be here. I want to actually enjoy going there. I don't want to be miserable the whole time. And I definitely found that during my internship. And I don't mind staying the extra hour and getting some work done, or staying an extra couple of hours here or there. It's fine because it's somewhere I actually enjoy being. Sure. I guess, we might have to start looking at locations in Australia to open up the Big Red Dog Australia office. Maybe I can start the first international firm. Sure. We'll see how we go. Yeah, that would be. I think that would be quite the jump, but I'm confident we can get there. I don't know anything about the engineering or development industry in Australia beyond a couple of our clients who are from Australia originally. I can imagine it's pretty different though. But at the same time, sticks and bricks and concrete are all the same, in one place or another. So I can't imagine the engineering principles changing much. It's just a matter of permitting and everything. Yeah. So, before we close out here, I wanted to kind of get to know you a little bit more. Obviously, we talked about your participation in footy and how unique a sport that is, but what are some of the things that you like to do on the weekends? I know that you just recently got a puppy who you brought into the office today. Since we're recording this on a Friday, Fridays are bring your own dog Fridays. So we enjoyed the presence of your brand new puppy in the office. It was definitely pretty cute. But other than that, taking care of a puppy is not quite a full-time job, but it gets close. What are some other things that you like to do on the weekend or in your free time? When I'm not tied down with getting a new puppy, and when it's not footy season, I really do try and I really like traveling. I try and use my weekends to get out and go see something that I haven't seen before. That's been basically what I've been doing the last 10 years. Been in Houston, been trying to see as much of the US as I can. Really didn't know much about it when I moved here at 15, but definitely seen quite a lot of the country since.
Yeah, I can imagine. You like to go back to Australia on an annual basis? Or?
Yeah, I try and make it back once a year. It was a bit easier during college, obviously, when you have that 3-month break or the 1 month break. That being said, I think we'll head back for Christmas this year. Will be next time I head back there.
Cool. I guess it's summer down there. So
exactly.
Well, I'll be sure to gift you a very large luggage that I can fit in, and you can bring me along. I could use the nice summertime heat during the middle of the winter. I don't care for winter myself, so I've seen pictures from that you've shown me before. It looks gorgeous down there.
So your parents and your family are still back there? You said your brother's here in the States?
Yeah, my brother has been here with me. He actually just moved to London, is in the process of moving to London. My parents moved, they stayed here up until, I guess it was 2012 or 2013. Then they moved to Rio, and now they live in Greece.
Oh, wow.
And my sister's back in Perth. And my mum kind of splits her time between Perth and Greece.
Awesome.
So yeah, we've got
all over the world.
Yeah, the Donnelly family's got a pretty good spot on most continents.
Slowly taking over.
Yeah, we're slowly moving around the world.
Nice.
So,
You've got a couch to sleep on almost any continent you end up on, I suppose.
Exactly.
Well, Sam, I appreciate you coming on the show. It means a lot to us. You're a prime example of the sort of young engineer that Big Red Dog looks for, and and frankly thrives on. And I think the sort of background and experience that you had is very reflective of what makes this firm succeed, and the future of our firm is dependent on folks like you and the experiences that you have, as you start into this industry and into this organization. So thank you. I really appreciate it, and the listeners appreciate it. Yeah,
thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed my time here, and I'm glad I have these opportunities on talking on a podcast.
Yeah, it's definitely unique for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that does it, folks, for our second episode of Unleashed. As always, you can find us on iTunes, or rather Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts, whatever your podcast flavor of choice is. If you have a moment to leave us a rating or a review in either of those storefronts, that would be extremely helpful.
And as always, go to bigreddog.com/podcast to view all the episodes and the show notes for this episode, as well as a link to all of our social media accounts.
All right, folks, thanks for listening. Until next time, take care for now.